Hey guys, so welcome back. So this is going to be part 2. So previously on my Beyonce's Act 2 Renaissance is a much bigger album than we think. Now, like I continued with the very first part of this video, now we are in the second part. Like I was mentioning before, guys, Beyonce is doing something that has never been done. The only person that I can actually put in this level of intensity and history telling is Michael Jackson. Now, this is a person that I rarely talk about on my channel, but sooner or later I will introduce Michael Jackson to the masses, especially on my channel. Michael Jackson has been one of the most influential artists that has inspired generations and future generations, and his greatest student is Beyonce. The reason why I say what Beyonce is doing right now, the genre bending acts, has not been new, because Beyonce has always mixed genres together, but the way she create these cohesive projects, having some sort of a amalgamation of different ideas, almost as if she's creating her own space, her own orbit, her own universe. That is insane to me. And to carry on that tradition, as we were mentioning, even through her detail of her clothes, the way that she was promoting Cowboy Carter, even though she didn't even announce anything, everything this woman has done has been done with pure detail and very cleanliness, with the Cowboy Carter cover matching exactly the way she is depicting country and how she is exploring the countryside of her heritage. It is very cool to see that even throughout the Super Bowl commercial, she literally deliberately had a small little teaser trailer that shows that she was almost like a station in the car, like a radio station, and that she was moving the different radio pieces around. You know, at the same time, when she was at the Grammys, it was almost as if it was like a meet and greet, where she was meeting artists, she was meeting people that either admire her or admire her husband or her kids. And that is so cool that coming from the Renaissance, the way she had the blonde platinum hair and how she transitionally turned it into Cowboy Carter is pretty insane. Like I said, I still believe in the back of my head, and as I mentioned in my other video, this is a double album, and that to continue with that theory, we're gonna dive in even further about this. So, looking even further out, we see that not only when the Grammys kind of felt like it was unfair to be, giving her album of the year, it felt as if they thought that she was like begging to gain album of the year. But little did you know, it wasn't that. It's just that the truth is the truth. Think about it. Can you imagine seeing Taylor Swift win album of the year at least 6 or 7 times? That would make no sense to everybody, right? So to give respect where it's due, yes, she may not win this year for album of the year, but the fact that this year the Grammys has acknowledged her as a country artist and her album as country, whereas the CMAs denied her right to show the genius of what country could be. If country genres or country people allow more people in, it is a very cool genre, but the genre is not for one side alone. This genre started back with black historic teachings of the banjo and how it traveled from Africa to the US, right? And even moving further on, iHeartRadio actually congratulated Beyonce for her Cowboy Carter as one of the most innovative part of the year, as well as decades. So the fact that Cowboy Carter as well as the Renaissance has now become a staple in Beyonce's historic book, you know. And that was the second tease that I think that she kind of gave us. She literally dressed up almost as like a rock anthem in a weird way, but its mixture is into like Cowboy Carter. There was another person that dressed something very similar. Sometimes I think great artists, they dress to not only impress, but I think that is always a statement being said. I think I mentioned that in this first video, how the trailer for the Cowboy Carter, everything matched exactly the way the trailer basically predicted. She went on going to see the candidate, Kamala Harris, and then she dressed it similarly as the promotional from the Horizon commercial. She literally, like, when she was standing there in front of the stage, the podium, it almost felt as if she was running for president herself, right? Which it was pretty insane if you think about, you know, if she ever decided to do something like that. I think that would leave the world even more crazy, you know. But then again, I don't think politics is always something that's in Beyonce's mind. So let me not move too crazy on this. But as I was continuing on with the connection of the bigger spectrum of what Cowboy Carter is telling us, is that this is gonna be something that people are gonna look at. It's gonna look very similar to what Michael Jackson did in 1987 when he released, if I'm not mistaken, he released it Bad. The cover Bad was very, a lot of people felt uproar about that. They felt kind of like shocked that this album cover, how it was. It was like Michael Jackson's skin color changed at that time. I was looking at the research and how those things kind of like change Michael Jackson's image, and then for there, it's similar to what Beyonce done even in 2008 when she released the Alter Ego as well as Herself album, right? The Alter Ego, which was Sasha Fierce at that time, and she released Beyonce. So it was a ballad of two different parts of the album, which made the Sasha Fierce album. It was considered a double album, but it's also considered one album, like the third studio album, if I'm not mistaken. Which means when I said that Beyonce is doing a renaissance, she's going back to old ideas but redoing them in a way where it's so completely different that when you see it, it doesn't look nothing like the past. And I think with the Cowboy Carter era and how we've been seeing each of the different like the track numbers have like different letters of twos and different letters of like the way that they spelled the Roman numeral for two, like Two Hands to Heaven, Levi jeans, they have the two on there. There's a lot of twos. The smoking hour too, like each thing has like a Roman numeral in all of them. So coming back to this now, I have a big feeling that the announcement for the upcoming big announcement is going to be a continuation of Cowboy Carter, because after getting the white side, like the good side of Cowboy Carter, I think the other side of Cowboy Carter is going to be intense, and then it's gonna lean on to the rock album. I think that's how it's gonna be. So as she started the tour, she will be promoting the other half of Cowboy Carter, but at the same time, as we entering to 2026, she will go for another leg of the tour that she's planning to announce as well, and then she will announce Act 3. Now remember, at the Renaissance tour, she also managed to literally give us a different ensemble piece of her Ivy Park collection, which was a black suited leather Ivy Park, right? So everything is very intentional when she plans on releasing anything. And I think the start or the cover of the stage of Cowboy Carter is gonna be similar to what my house is from the trailer of the Verizon, and the suit piece that she's gonna wear to kick off the tour is gonna be the red suit chrome, the chrome suit that she had in the commercial, which will make perfect sense because even from the second Renaissance, the merchandise, how the perfume, like I mentioned before in my previous video, that the perfume matched it with Beyonce's entire ensemble, especially that was the first costume that she probably did. So to continue that tradition, I think that she's gonna kick off with a similar look of the Renaissance, but behind the stage itself is probably gonna be like a giant house entrance or something, because there's a lot of predictions that she did. Some of them are located in the Renaissance book that she sold out at the tour, and if some of you guys that actually went to the tour, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. She gave a Renaissance tour book. Inside that book, it gave us like the engineering part of the tour, how the tour came together, the stage, the design of the stage, the setup of the stage itself. All that became what the Renaissance is, right? And at the same time, it gave us some different concepts of what the stage should have been. So maybe she will use some of those things for later. Another very striking thing about the tour is that the double angelic women that were sitting basically parallel to each other, it had me thinking about this is going to be a double album. I looked a lot of research from Reddit to get more. It seems as the trailer of the small teaser trailer that we received from the performance for the Christmas special, when I went to Reddit, it shows that it was a double horse, and it's part of one part of the act, and then it starts the other part. There's a caption on the horse on the trailer, teaser trailer for the announcement for January 14. It basically indicating look at the horse, right? Looking at the horse indicates that the horse itself is either changing color or is turning into a pale to black horse. We even had an alternate look of the cover of the Cowboy Carter before we got the official look of the Cowboy Carter cover. This one was spelled Beyonce, but it's not spelled in the traditional way that we know it. This one is, folks, she mentioned that this Beyonce name stems back from her mother's maiden name, as well as her grandfather, her godfather or grandfather's name. So Celestine Beyonce, I think that's what it's called. If I'm right, please let me know. So going further, when we got the original or the official version of the Cowboy Carter cover, we got to see the intensity of the detail of what the Cowboy Carter cover is. And at the same time, there's a lot of imagery as well as subliminal on this album. The cover is indicating of the heritage of the the purity of country, but at the same time Beyonce is almost dressed as a colonial or someone that is ready to colonize country, almost like she's colonizing country back to its roots. There's a lot of imagery on there. Now from Renaissance, the horse was basically stagnant, it was just standing there. And Renaissance Act 2, Cowboy Carter, the horse basically started getting ready to run, almost like it's galloping getting ready to go for a full speed. And I think for Act 3, we might see the horse in full speed running, and Beyonce kind of like holding the horse ready to run. That will explain that the horse itself, which is titled Chardonnay, is one out of the 4 horses that she is releasing. Right now we on to the second horse, when Chardonnay transformed into the dark cover, which is I'm not sure what the horse is going to be. You could even see at the bottom of the trailer that the horse is kind of like somewhat changing color. And if I'm right, that double album will be a longer, it will be a bigger tour than the Renaissance tour. Like I mentioned before in the past, if Beyonce wanted to get streaming numbers or even tour numbers, she could have easily done that. And she mentioned that into some of her interviews or private interviews. She said that, you know, her mind long ago, she used to focus on so much pop. Nowadays, she's not really focusing on that. She's looking more towards legacy and how she focused on things. She even referenced that even when it came to the visuals for each of the albums, and how music is something that connects us all, but at the same time, people got so focused and I guess so greedy and having visuals to match with the actual work that they forgot to hear the voice of the artist themselves. I think that was very important telling. And throughout each of the tour that she just did recently, she basically identified certain issues with the music industry in the past, from self-titled to Lemonade to the what's that thing called again, Coachella performance, right? And now the Beyonce Bowl. We got to see Beyonce evolve even further, but at the same time, it seems as if she is putting imagery with fashion, with detail. We even saw at the, I think 2023 or 2024 Coachella, her and Kelly Rowland was basically going around on a giant tour bus or like some sort of truck, and it said Cowboy Carter on it. It almost seems like she was promoting something else instead of just the album itself. Like the rodeo circuit, Chicklins, and the stable organization, I think that deals with something in Houston. She has so many things about this album that I think once she's ready to release everything, it's gonna make sense. And even in the commercial of the Verizon commercial, like I mentioned to you guys before, I think she predicted that she wanted to do the Christmas special. The clothes that she has match similar to what the commercial was for the Beyonce Bowl, right? And that's something that's planned from couple of months. Like, that is insane to me for someone to pretend or not even say anything, but they find a way to connect everything together like that. Like I said, going back to the parts of the video that I mentioned in the very part of my video, Michael Jackson is an uncharted territory artist that I tend to have so much respect for to not cross. But I think Beyonce is tapping into her Michael Jackson essence, because if I'm right, and if a lot of people that already predicted are right, that horse is slowly but surely is transforming into a black horse, indicating that the Cowboy Carter will be pressing the reset button. From the Cowboy Carter will emerge the rock album, and the way it's gonna happen is gonna be very seamlessly, right? And going back to what I said, when Michael Jackson released Bad, everybody was kind of shocked about it. The way the cover looked, it had this edginess to it, right? A lot of people was like, is that even Michael Jackson, right? So the way Beyonce is gonna change everything to like from white to black, like transitionally, is gonna look insane. And we haven't seen anything like that since Michael Jackson. Like I said, if you sum up everything together, this will be probably one of the biggest surprises that we're gonna see for 2025. And let's not forget that the end of the 2024, she did the whole Beyonce Bowl, and that she started rallying up all her past dancers. We even saw Ashley, which was the long-term dance captain from her Mrs. Carter tour to her Dangerously in Love tours. Like, it's been a long, I think after all this, I'm even more scared to realize what studio album 10 is gonna be like for Beyonce, or is she's gonna take like a Rihanna where she takes like a huge break after the 3 acts, because having the tour back to back, and I have a feeling Beyonce's gonna surpass the Eras tour with this upcoming tour, because that would make perfect sense. Like, she was like, okay, so you guys want me to surpass people? Okay, I'll do that. It's not like she can't. It's like, if she wants to, she'll do it. That's the level she's at right now. Like, she's not being pushed by society to create more work, to burn yourself out. We actually trying to catch up to her in reality. So when we think about everything that she done with the Beyonce Bowl, which I can't wait to dissect. I did a whole reaction for the first time reaction, but I want to go back and redo a proper dissection of the entire performance. But like I said, she referenced a lot of things from the Renaissance tour that are now reflecting on the Cowboy Carter experience, which kicked off officially at the end of the year, because she didn't really properly do so many promotions on the Cowboy Carter until the end of the year, which I think that was always the plan. She did a lot of more small commercial wise, I would say, brand deals, almost like she was networking all last year. And now that she's done networking, she's now officially ready to welcome this new era. Also, she referenced the Black Betty tour, which Black Betty, there are 2 Black Bettys. You have the historic African American rock and roll Black Betty, and then you have the Hollywood Black Betty. And I think having the 2 Bettys, I think she's gonna find a way where it's like a alter ego, or almost as if a Sasha Fierce type of thing, where it's 2 halves of 2 Bettys, and that the Black Betty tour will probably start right in between the Cowboy Carter tour, because in one of the background of the tour, this part of the image shown the Black Betty tour sold out, and it said page 14. Now if we flash forward that, you look at the same date as the promotional release of the teaser that she gave us, you could see exactly that she's been planning this for since she released Renaissance. This is why I'm saying that Beyonce is literally Thanos, or the way she's creating this universe, everything is intertwined. Like I said, if Cowboy Carter is a 2 double album back to back, Act 3 is its own thing and more, that would mean Beyonce literally gave us 4 acts, and the visuals will be 4. But technically Cowboy Carter is 2 parts and 1 side. Act 3 is rock and something else, and then the 4th act will be the compilation of all of them together with the visuals. That's how I think she's gonna do it. So thinking about either 2026 or 2027, or whichever day she's gonna do it for, this will make it a experience to remember. Like I mentioned, you heard it here first, this might be a double album, and it's also a tour. And from the double album will emerge the Act 3, because we've been seeing the Roman numerals and the different tracks. I think Beyonce is gonna surprise us with a continuation of Cowboy Carter, but it's gonna be a more intense version. After celebrating the, I would say, the purity side. And here's another thing before we close out. Beyonce did the release of Cowboy Carter on Christmas, on Easter Sunday. It was a Sunday when she released, or Friday, or Good Friday, she released Easter. When she did this Beyonce Bowl, she did it on the birth of Christ, right? So it was almost like a death and a rising, right? And the perfumes are the same thing. It's a death and a rising. So there's a lot of subliminal that is being done here for this album. And this album is significant because if we get to the part where it's four parts, that will include that her favorite number is 4. So 3 trilogies, and then the last one will be the visuals, which will make it 4 acts. So like and subscribe to the channel. This was a long video, but I hope you guys enjoy. This was part 2. I'll see you guys for part 3, and then we will close out as we kick off the Cowboy Carter experience. Later.